Welcome back. Democrats warming up in the bullpen for their likely 2028 White House runs, but Mamala, JB back ribs, and Greasy Gav already appear to be striking out. Take a look.
I'm like you. I'm no better than you. You know, I'm a 960 SAT guy. And I'm not trying to offend anyone, trying to act all there if you got 940. But literally a 960 SAT guy. I cannot, you've never seen me read a speech because I cannot read a speech. Maybe the wrong business to be in.
His strategy is, I'm just like you. I'm stupid. And this is his way of subverting his reputation as a silver-spooned elitist. But it says something that's worse. I think it says, I got this far despite my bad grades, despite my laziness, despite my womanizing. I am a true elitist because whenever this rich kid partied too much, got kicked out at wherever, mommy and daddy pulled strings. I'm the rich white guy that didn't have to work that hard. My SATs the number is rarely more than me just signing my name. I think you get, 600 for that? I don't know. It's stupid signaling. We used to have virtue signaling. Now we have stupid signaling. And so the thing is that him being dim is a sign of depth, which is insulting to the audience, right? I would never do that. I compliment the audience by expecting them to keep up with me. I will not dumb anything down unless, of course, Kill Meat is on.
You have to.
Then you have to. You have no choice.
I don't want a president who scores poorly. I don't want a president who struggles to read. I want a really smart president. Now, Gavin says he had dyslexia, and he's overcome his dyslexia, and he's become governor, and he should be proud of that. It's great, a great accomplishment. But he was a terrible governor.
Given that she might, or she's thinking about doing it again, what flaws, because we talk about this all the time, we never get anywhere, what flaws will she need to honestly confront and repair? And we could rehab her here on The Five if we give her the right advice.
She does like the show. Remember that?
She loves me.
Five.
She can't deny my brooding sexuality.
I've actually heard that is not the case. I'm sorry to break it to you. I know you thought you had something special. Listen, right now everyone is jockeying for their spot in the poly market odds, and this keeps all of that alive. I don't think that she's running, but I think that she likes being at the top or, close with Gavin Newsom at the top.
If she's going to do it again, what flaws does she need to confront?
I mean...
So many of them.
I guess, yeah, all the flaws.
I mean, I would just off the top of my head say she has to distinguish herself from Biden. She never did it. That's what sank her on The View. So that's number one. Number two, she has to explain the border. And if she does win the presidency, you have to say, I'm not going to blow it wide open like I did last time. And she also just has to speak with confidence.
All right.
She's always like, oh, very seriously.
What does a Project 2029 agenda look like for you?
One is we've got to restore the rule of law, and that means holding people accountable who've broken the law. I'm talking about in this administration, when we get a new one, the people in this administration who've broken the law and federal agents who've broken the law need to be held accountable.
And that means criminally prosecuted.
Criminally prosecuted, civilly prosecuted, whatever it is that we can do.
Where I differ with Governor Pritzker is, I've said many, many times, I don't believe that voters are going to go to the polls and vote for Democrats if they want to prosecute, if that's the foremost thing they want to do, or that's the nucleus of the plan. You have housing challenges. People can't afford them. That's what Democrats ought to be talking about. But truth be told, Governor Pritzker had a good night last night, and the question becomes, can you translate that 2 years from now? I don't know. That's a long time.
Good morning. Good morning. Rev, I'm going to use the F word. Who are feckless. Obliterated it, he said. You know how he likes to use those kind of words? Obliterated it. He kind of Rev acts like a mob boss. So then he's kind of like, well, you take Eastern Europe, and I'll take the Western Hemisphere. And then you over there, you get Asia. And we'll just divide it up.
Are you gonna run again in 28?
I might. I might. I'm thinking about it.
Obviously, nothing has changed for them. They do everything possible, but except the one thing they need to do, which is change, which requires admitting that they went down the wrong path because they don't want to relinquish the sunk costs of all their mistakes.
Every prominent Democrat, save for Kamala Harris and from what we've heard from Joe Biden, has talked explicitly about mistakes that were made throughout the Biden years, talking about open border problems and how that wasn't addressed on time, media strategy problems, telling people, no, your wallet is fuller than you think it is, or we have a faster recovery than everyone else in the G7, so you should be thankful for that we prioritized cultural issues over economic issues, or that was people's perception of us. So I just don't see that as reality.
Greasy Gav just cooked up a word salad that would put Kamala to shame.
What is the thing you want to accomplish, like politically?
I don't have
in your life.
I don't have like a brand. I'm into that whole '60s, the vernacular of the '60s, solving for ignorance and poverty and disease, and the spirit of the '60s, and the spirit of King, and and how the nonviolent movement and Gandhi, and Havel, and Mandela, that moral authority, that whole space. That's the zeitgeist.
If you had to define it, like. Vote
I need your
for
help
me
to define
and
it.
you get
Well, you tell
X.
me. You're better at this.
I don't know. I don't know who you. What
I
your
know
is.
my why, but how do you translate
saying-
that into human?
What?
So the guy asked you, how do you want to deliver to the American people? And he said, Gandhi, Havel, zeitgeist. What was that?
I don't know. I could watch that again because he was like, wait, what? It's the same. Interesting about the Democrats, like, they have time to try to pull it together, and maybe they will. The other thing that they're wanting to do here is to, I think, just separate themselves so much from President Trump that I'm not saying they're rooting for America to lose, but they're not saying America wants to win. And I get it that America, tired of forever wars, but they also really want to win. They don't like losing, and rooting for failure is a terrible idea.
Democrats shouldn't feel overconfident because of the 2025 results and even the last few weeks' results. Because if you don't have answers, either party, if you think it's all partisanship, you're not going to win. What I do agree with Greg on is that Donald Trump is a transformational figure in politics. He upended the normal vernacular. He's aligned with Republicans, but he has Democrat views and he has Republican views and he has some views that defy both parties. You're going to win the electorate if you take seriously their concerns.
Dems are desperate for some headlines, so they're upping the shock factor. J.B. Pritzker trying to tip the scales by dropping the D word on Trump, despite telling Americans that Joe Biden's pudding brain was just fine.
I think the man has dementia. I don't really understand how it works up there.
You have to make a choice, Governor. Do you think the president has dementia and therefore can't be responsible for his actions? Or do you think he's evil and making these decisions with full intent to harm? I mean, I think that I'm not advising him, but obviously he'd be a terrible candidate. Because if you can't get that right, can't bat that away, that's pretty bad. And also it's ridiculous. He also said something about how he was the target of anti-Semitism, but he attributed all of it to Trump. And, without any sort of willingness to look at the left, in that, at least in this interview.
It would be nice if Pritzker could talk policy, but he can't. Because still, on the two key issues, he strongly is against cooperating with immigration authorities, which have allowed, because of not cooperating, has allowed illegal violent felons to harm innocent people and recommit heinous crimes. He's expanded sanctuary cities, which he claims is for public safety, which is like saying, remove the locks of your doors, and that way crooks won't break your windows. He's pro-trans in girls' bathrooms, and if you disagree with him, you're cruel. He thinks men can play in women's sports, and he feeds into the victim status of trans when we know it's false. Who has dementia? I mean, he doesn't even have that excuse. What is the reason for your insanity, you pig?
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.